This is the time of year that a lot of people are finishing up their through hikes of the Appalachian Trail, the Pacific Crest Trail, maybe even the CDT, as they refer to it, the Continental Divide Trail. That's a doozy. So I thought this would be a good time of year to talk about something called post-trail depression. What is it? Is it even real? Is that an accurate name for it? And what can you do about it? So those are the things that we're gonna cover in this video, and by we, I mean me. And speaking of me, I'm also gonna talk about my experience with it, kind of. I'll get to that in a second, but we'll talk about what it was like for me after I finished my Appalachian Trail through hike, and what I did right and what I did wrong in terms of post-trail depression. The first thing I want to say is that if you're new around here, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button. You know I had to say it, I always say it, but seriously, hit the subscribe button. If you guys are old around here, then thank you for coming back, and be sure that you hit the notification bell as well, because subscriptions don't mean that much anymore thanks to the ever-changing YouTube algorithm. So yeah, subscribe. Anyways, what is great start. What is post-trail depression? You've probably heard this term thrown around a little bit, especially if you read the Trek, because they love to talk about it. Post-trail depression, in my own words, I guess, is basically a feeling of sadness after you finish a through hike, after you get back. Yeah, it's like you get back to the real world, you're done this amazing adventure, and you're just like, I think that's a pretty bad, but also hopefully a good way to describe it. So why does this happen? Because you might think, oh, you just finished this amazing experience. Why would you be sad? You should be happy. You accomplished your goal. But the truth is, it's like, yeah, you accomplished your goal. So now what? What do you do now? That's why people get it. I'm pretty sure. I don't actually know. I mean, I don't know anything, but I'm pretty sure that's why people get it. And it makes sense if you think about it. Like, you spend so much of your time working towards this one goal. You like my hand motions? What the f? You spend so much of your time working towards this one goal, and then you finally accomplish that goal. And reaching that goal, drink every time I say goal, has been your main objective for months on end, for days and days and days in a row. And then you do it. You finally get there. And then you go home. It's like, what? How are you supposed to process that? So that's what it is, basically. It's almost like a hangover from your through hike. It's like you go out all night, you get all white girl wasted with the boys. That makes no sense. And then the next morning, you wake up and you're like, what? It's like, you're done. You did what you wanted to do, and now you're done, and now you have to move on. Maybe people didn't spend enough time processing what it was going to be like after the trail. Maybe not processing, but thinking about what it was going to be like after the trail. Maybe they have no clue what they're going to do after the trail. Or maybe, like me, they already have something lined up and they just jump right into it, and it doesn't give them enough time to process what they just went through before they left the trail. In a previous video, I referred to post-trail depression as BS, I believe. And I almost thought about titling this video Post-Trail Depression is BS, but I thought that's probably a little harsh, let's be honest. What I mean by that is not that like people don't feel sad or depressed after their through hike, because they certainly do. More so, I don't like the term post-trail depression, because I know people with actual depression, and that's not to say that no one's ever had actual depression after the through hike, but I think most of the time people just have like a temporary kind of lull, because like all of the reasons I just explained a second ago. And so maybe depression isn't the best word for it. I like to use the term post-trail blues. So maybe I'll try to remember to do that going forward in this video, but I probably won't. Let's talk about what happened to me after my through hike, and then I'm gonna get into some tips on how you or your loved one, or maybe someone you hate, but not enough to wanna cure their depression, how they can deal with the post-trail blues. The first thing I'll say about my experience is that I had a job lined up after my through hike. I knew this going into the through hike. I had like a start date. I had a job. I even had a lease already. Like, I knew where I was gonna live. I had all this stuff figured out. And so that's certainly gonna play a role in your post-trail experience, obviously. Like, if you don't have anything figured out, it's gonna be different than if you have literally everything figured out like I did. I finished my through hike on October 1st, 2018, and then I believe it was October 18th. That was my start date at work. So I had like a little bit of time off, but I didn't have that much time off. You know, I had a couple weeks or whatever, enough time to move in, to get settled in, but I don't know, it wasn't great afterwards. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of, this is like such a first world problem, by the way. Like, you don't need to comment that, or you can if you want, I don't care. It helps the engagement, it helps the algorithm, but first world problem, what I'm about to say, like 100% like privilege problem, I get that. But it was kind of depressing to go from, maybe not depressing, it was kind of just sad to go from this amazing trail life, you know, working towards this goal every single day, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks later I'm in a cubicle with no beard and a collared shirt. That was kind of sad, and it probably lasted for like, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks of like real sad. And then for a few months afterwards, again, I would never say I was depressed, but for a few months afterwards, it was just kind of like, I don't know, it was a lull. That's a good way to describe it. It was a lull. I was just like, man, I was glad to be done hiking after doing it for so many days in a row, but like, this ain't it. You know, that's what the kids say. This ain't it. Sitting in a cubicle, it ain't it. I will say that once I started to have my paychecks roll in, it felt a little bit better, but it still wasn't great. And you know, as time went on, I slowly got over it. And then, you know, by the spring, by early summer, I was like good to go, probably because I was back hiking again. But that was my experience. Wasn't super drastic, but I definitely noticed it. Like, when people talk about post-trail depression, it's like, I get it. And again, it makes sense because like you just have this grand adventure and then it's just over. And then you find yourself in a cubicle. It's like, come on, man, that's not it. So let me talk a little bit about what I did to try to keep post-trail depression at bay after my thru hike. Because I knew about it. I definitely knew about it. It's something that people talk about all the time. Everyone should be aware of it. I definitely knew about it, but I didn't really think about it that much. I was aware of it, but I just was like so focused on being on trail and finishing my thru hike that I didn't really like actually think about it that much, if that makes sense, you know? And it does make sense, because it's like, why should I think about my feelings after the trail when I haven't even finished the trail yet? I didn't really take it that seriously, and maybe that probably didn't help me very much. That was very vague, but it definitely did not help me very much when I finished my thru hike. So that's something I did not do very well, and something I would recommend to everybody to do better is to, you know, just think about it a little bit, especially towards the end. Just be like, hey, I'm probably gonna feel like a little bit dull after this. It's gonna be a little shitty, as the kids would say. Another thing that I did not do well, and I'm gonna get into 3 things that I think people can focus on to help keep post-trail depression at bay. I did not keep myself in shape at all. I didn't work out or exercise or do a f***ing thing from the time I finished my thru hike until probably like 2.5, 3 months afterwards. And even then, I didn't really do very much. So that was not good. So that's my first tip, is in order to keep the post-trail blues at bay, keep your ass in shape, or try to as best you can. That doesn't mean you have to be running marathons or like, you know, going to the gym 8 days a week. You don't have to go like super hard, because like you're gonna be tired as hell. That's probably why I didn't exercise, because I was like, F man, I just exercised for 141 days straight. Why should I exercise now? I need a break. I actually told myself that I would give myself 2 weeks and then I would start exercising, like 2 weeks to rest. 2 weeks turned into just about 3 months, like I said, so that was not a good idea. I would say, you know, you give yourself a few days, but try to maybe after like 3 to 5 days, go to the gym, or even just go for another hike or go for a walk or something. Like I said, it doesn't have to be crazy, but that's really important. You're releasing so many endorphins when you're thru hiking, and then if you just stop exercising for months on end, especially if it's winter like it was when I finished, like, you know, this time of year basically, that was depressing. So it's going down over there apparently. But my second tip for keeping away the post-trail blues, if you know what I mean, focus on your diet. This is something I did not do either. I did not think about what I was eating, how much I was eating, how frequently I was eating, none of these things. I was hungry. I still had that hiker hunger after my thru hike. And for those of you who might have intimate knowledge of my thru hike, which is hopefully not that many of you, but I also have a podcast about it, so probably a lot of you. I was an eater. I still am. I eat a lot of calories, but especially on my thru hike, I was putting down 2-3 meals at a time when I was in town. Dude, I was freaking eating I was loving it. It's my favorite thing about thru hiking, eating as much as I want and not feeling guilty about it. But that doesn't play in after you're done. Like, it's hard because you're still so hungry. Like, your body hasn't realized that you're done your hike yet, and your body's still just like, dude, give me all them calories. But you know, it's not appropriate. So that's a big tip. Focus on your diet. You're gonna have to cut back the calories a little bit and try to eat some good food. I ate like shit on my thru hike. A few times I literally ate shit. Like, I was eating feast. No, I was not eating feces, but I was eating like crap, and it didn't stop after I got back. It didn't stop. And for those couple months, like I said, that I wasn't exercising, I was still eating like a thru hiker. My office was like right next to a bunch of good restaurants. So every day for lunch, I was going out, getting sandwiches, burgers, friggin' all this nonsense. And I ended up gaining like 15 pounds like a month after my thru hike. You know, I went from probably like 150 up to 165, and none of that was muscle. It was just straight fat. It was not good. Not good for my physical health and not good for my mental health. So try to eat healthy, try to cut back on the calories if you can. You're gonna have to, you should. Just focus on your diet. That's point number 2. And my last point number 3, how to keep away the post-trail blues as best you can. This is not a definitive, all-inclusive list, by the way. These are just my quick tips, but tip number 3 is you should set another goal for yourself. Because going back to what I said at the beginning, I think probably the biggest reason why people get sad and depressed after their thru hike is because they were so focused on this one goal, and now it's over, and now they don't know like what else. It's almost like an identity crisis. Like, that was their identity, that was their goal, that was their only mission. Now they're done. Now they have nothing to work towards, nothing to focus on, and that's not good. So my third tip, and arguably the most important one, is to think about a goal for yourself before you even finish your thru hike. Start to think about it at the end of your thru hike. Although if it's too late, if you're already done your thru hike now, that's okay. As soon as you possibly can, come up with a goal for yourself. It doesn't have to be as big as hiking the Appalachian Trail. It doesn't have to be a hiking goal, but it should be something. Maybe it's a physical fitness goal. Maybe it's a personal goal, a finance goal. Maybe for me, a big goal I had was to start making content after my thru hike. Just some sort of goal. Maybe it's just a hobby goal. Maybe you want to get better at guitar. After I finished the Northville Placid Trail, I bought myself an electric guitar, and that was kind of fun, although that hike was only 8 days, so that doesn't really count. But just set a goal for yourself, or try to think of a goal for yourself, and then kind of switch gears into that goal. Easier said than done, for sure. I know it's not just easy to come up with a goal like that, but I do think that's going to help you. And those are my quick tips. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And I just want to say, if you watch all these videos and you really dig what I'm doing here, please check out the Patreon. I've been slacking on there, but I'm getting back into the Patreon now. Patreon.com/KyleHatesHiking. That is the #1 best way to support this channel. I do sponsors every now and then, but I don't really do that many. YouTube ads only pay so much, especially when I say the word f. Please check out the Patreon. I would really appreciate it. It's just a couple bucks a month. You know, it's not that big a deal. You're helping out your boy, helping out the dream. I'm trying to live the dream. Thanks for watching, everybody. Post-trail depression sucks.